To me, it's this feeling, the place you act out of so regularly is little to never nudged or messed with. You just are it and would identify it as you while in that state. But then, during an intense psychedelic trip, there's this feeling, an almost psychic sensation, that what I am or who I am is no longer that area in which I thought I was, but it is a silent, non-speaking, non-communicable point of awareness in which who I think I am arises, making a very noticeable separation between who I am and who I think I am. It is at this stage that others interpret that their ego has died, they've died, are going insane, don't exist, etc., etc., etc. They came to the awareness that the feeling of who they are isn't who they thought they were. What's up, everybody? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all my LSD ego death experience. So I've talked about this before on my channel, probably like one or two different times, but it's always such a good story to go back to and to rephrase it, and revise it, because this experience was really what sent the nail home in regards to everything I had learned up until then. I kind of realized it was pretty viable with what I experienced on this LSD trip. So to get right into it, this experience took place with me and my brother, and this is probably like 2 years ago now. Long story short, me and my brother went quite a while, probably like a year or so without talking. And when we got back together, we were both, like when we started hanging out again, we were both interested in using psychedelics. So we planned to have our very first LSD trip together. We had some LSD, I had some, he had some. We were like, yo, let's take a tab together and hang out, enjoy our first psychedelic trip together. This should be phenomenal, And the last time I had done LSD then was probably like 4 or 5 months before this trip with my brother. So it had been a little bit since I had tripped on LSD. But we were up at my brother's house, up in his room. He had all his lights on and all his lasers on, because he had this whole little setup he got together throughout his tripping days, where he would have the lasers and the lights and just observe the visual beauty. He brought that to his room and set it up for us. So it's probably like 7-8 p.m. and we decide to dose up and begin our trip. So we take our tabs. I took one whole tab. I'm not positive how much he took. But yeah, we ingested our tabs, and then we were just waiting for it to take effect and kick in. So I don't remember like verbatim what we were doing, what we were talking about. I only really remember this profound thing that happened on this trip. But we were just hanging out. I was starting to feel it. I remember saying to my brother, wow, dude, I feel just like I felt my last trip. This feels so familiar, you know what I mean? And that feeling was coming back over me of tripping. He was starting to feel it. We were starting to trip. Things were starting to look really cool, and my body was feeling very tight and energized, and pupils were dilating, it was kicking in. So I had been doing work with Eastern philosophy and Eastern mysticism, and also studying people like Ram Dass and Timothy Leary, and many people of the psychedelic counterculture back then. So I knew a lot of these things about ego death and being one with the universe and realizing you don't exist and stuff like that, but it all was very metaphorical. It wasn't experiential. I just intellectually thought I understood what they were talking about. So I don't know if it was as the peak was about to hit or if I was peaking, but during the LSD trip, I remember asking myself, I said, okay, so I'm tripping pretty hard right now. This is the stage where I'd have ego death, right? This is the stage where I wouldn't remember who I am. If I'm tripping this hard, I should have that ego death thing, right? That everybody's talking about, you know. So, in a kind of cocky way, I put it to the test. I say, okay, who am I? You know, in my head. In my head, I'm like, all right, ego death. I'm tripping. All right, who am I? And this is where shit got weird. It was like I would ask myself, who am I? And I would hear this thought-based narrative come in about who I was. It was telling me who I was. It's like, I'm Devin, I'm tripping on acid, I'm a human, I'm hanging out with my brother. But it started to feel like when that would happen, I'd be like, no, don't give me that shit. Like, who am I? You know? And my mind would make up thoughts again. My mind would provide thoughts. And I'd think, no, like, that's just words, man. That's not who I am. Like, who am I? So this began to get intense. This effect of there not being anything to depict who I am, it was as if I started to realize that, and the whole experience began to transition towards I'm stuck in my head asking who I am, and my brother's like trying to tell me who I am, being like, yo dude, you're Devin, you're just tripping on acid, we're up at my house, we're hanging out, you know, you're fine. And I'd be like, yeah, I know my name's Devin, I know I'm on acid, I know I'm like tripping up here, but like, who am I? You know? It was this feeling that everything I was saying to myself and everything my brother was saying to me didn't tell me who I was. It was like just this another thought bank. And I'd be like, yeah, those thoughts are happening to me, but like, who is it happening to? So this experience began to get very profound. I started to feel like I wasn't anybody. I started to feel like I wasn't a person. And I'm sitting on the bed, and I remember I'm looking around, and I'm thinking like, who am I? Who am I? And my mind would make up these descriptions, but it's like, no, that's not who I am. That's just a bank of thoughts happening inside of who I am. Who is it that these thoughts are happening to? You know, and it was like my mind couldn't tell me who I was. So I started getting very, like, off-put and frightened at, like, who the fuck am I, you know? Like, none of these thoughts are telling me who I am. None of these things you're saying or these things that I'm saying that I've always said that tell me who I am, it doesn't seem like that's me anymore. That's not who I am. But who am I? I don't know. And it was this loop of trying to figure out I was trying to figure out who I is, you know? And all the thoughts were still there. My name, my address, how old I was, what I was doing, that I was tripping, that I'm up with my brother. It was all there, all available. But anytime that shit would pop up, it's like, no. That's not who I am. Those are just thoughts. That's not describing who I am. And I was trying to find a ground of, like, shit. Like, does anything describe who I am? Like, what am I? And it was this, there started to be this dissociation between what my mind was saying and what I was experiencing. My mind was trying to tell me that I'm this person and this is me in reality and I'm tripping and I'm having ego death, and that stuff would come up And it didn't seem like it was me. It seemed like a secondary thing going on. And I was behind it all. It was like I was behind everything I was trying to describe myself to be. And I started to, without using words really, I started to realize that who I am is this whole experience. I'm my brother. I'm the surroundings. I'm this room. I'm these feelings. I'm this vision. I'm the thoughts. That's me as well. It's all me. And there's not one thing in particular that defines me. There's not one thing in particular that stands up and says, yep, that's me. That's who I am. And if there was, it was everything. Everything was who I was, truly. And I'm looking around and I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, like, there's not something that defines me besides everything. My thoughts don't tell me who I am, because who I am is behind that, seeing it. So who is it that sees all this going on? You know, and like getting locked in the thought stream and then coming out and realizing that my thoughts are just trying to describe who I think I am. I started to really feel this sensation of like, oh my God, like I am not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. I am not what I think I am, you know? And this was the most profound thing I realized, that I can't describe who I am. I can't describe who I am. I can only be who I am. I only am who I am. That's all that's going on here, is I am. And it was this feeling, I felt like I had broken through the LSD realm and was on another end of existence. And I was thinking, like, this is what breaking through on LSD is like. This is what merging with the universe is like. You know, and I remember looking around and everything had this, like, tunnel view. And I'm thinking, like, this is enlightenment? Is this enlightenment? You know, and I was so, like, another thing that was going on this night, basically, it was as if, you know, I would ask my brother, like, dude, who am I? And he would tell me, you're Devin, dude, you're Devin, you know, and I'd be like, yeah, I know that's my name, but, like, that's not who I am, dude, who am I? And as this carried on and my brother began to realize the predicament that was going on, without him even seeming to try to make this happen, it was almost like the LSD began to speak wisdom through him. He began to tell me, essentially, that you are this, bro. This is you. This is all you. You know? Have a good look around. This is you. You know, and I'm just mind blown. He'd say something, and I'd sit there and let it sink in, and I ask him something, and I cannot tell you what we talked about that night. Me and him both don't remember a lick of what happened. We talked for like 5-6 hours probably about who I am, and how I'm not my name, and I'm not anything I can think of, but I still am. So what does that leave behind? You know, what is left of me? And you know, what was left, guys, was everything. When you pull back your identity from your thoughts, all that's left is this experience. All that's left is this experience, and you are it. You are this experience. And I couldn't fathom this. I couldn't understand, because that in itself, understanding is a sequence of thoughts. It's a sequence of thoughts, you know. Wisdom is not a sequence of thoughts. I couldn't understand how I was all of this, but inevitably, I felt it to be truth. I felt it. I was who I am. I was who I was, and who I was included my description of who I thought I was. But that was no longer who I was, and I realized that, and I went, bro, like, what am I? What is this? You know what I mean? Like, there is no separation between me and this right here. And the only thing that fogged that realization out was the thoughts of who I thought I was that had been pounded into me since I was a child. And I had never had an experience like this on LSD. Like I said, I had tripped on LSD like 2 or 3 times prior to this, and it was just a very euphoric, good, trippy, beautiful visuals time. But this time with my brother, it was like intense realization time. And this essentially made me realize I am not who I think I am. And to this day, I don't trust who I think I am, because it's just that thought bank going on more and more and more, doing its thing, while I am this entirety just here, just observing, just watching, just being it. And it's all so interesting, you know? But this, who you think you are, really hear that statement. That's not implying who you are. That's implying who you think you are. You are thinking that's who you are. But you are behind it, aware of the thoughts, aware of everything. The awareness is the same as this whole experience right now. But that you think you're not this experience, and that you think you're this isolated little individual separate self that's in control of what it's doing and who it is and why it's here and whatnot, that is an illusion created through the sequence of thoughts, the narrative that you live in. And basically you become blind to your own awareness over time and over conditioning, because you live in who you think you are. But you've lost sight of the fact that who you are is all of this, and you see who you think you are inside of that as well. But that's not who you are. I'm a little sick right now, so I might be coughing. This experience was very potent, very powerful. I came out of this experience with 1,000-yard stare, basically thinking to myself, I am not who I think I am. I am all of this right here. You know, there was a lot of sitting and looking and being with who I am after that trip, that I really let it sink in. That, like, okay, these thoughts that I've become so familiar with that describe everything and who I am and what I'm doing and what I want to do, and I've just been like a leech. I've been like a leech, attaching myself to those thoughts, and I live through them. But now all of a sudden, I was seeing it all, and it was the most freeing sensation, the most freeing experience. But at the same time, it was bewildering. It was insane. Because the thoughts were trying to articulate and understand what it was I just went through last night. But the thoughts are what I came out of that night. The thoughts are what I broke out of and saw and realized that, oh shit, that's not who I am. Matter of fact, anything that little thinking mind says is not who I am. It's who the thinking mind thinks I am. This is a very, very powerful realization. And many spiritual teachings come off as something you just come to understand and go, okay, that's how it is. That's what that is. I'll say that when somebody asks me if that's what I think. But what happened that night? It became experiential. I experienced myself to be everything. I was no longer this little thought bank, this little sequence of thoughts. I was everything. And this is such a cliche, typical psychedelic experience, but really, it's not. It's not, because this shit doesn't happen to people on the regular. This shit happens to, like, specific people that get themselves into a specific loop or a specific train of thought during an intense psychedelic trip that come to the realization that, holy shit, my awareness goes beyond my thinking mind. I'm aware of all of this as well. Why have I been living in my thoughts this whole time? Ego death isn't like a given you get out of the psychedelic experience. I mean, as I said to you, I like put it to the test. I started asking, okay, I'm tripping, who am I then? This is where I forget who I am. All right, who am I? You know? And it boiled up. The psychedelic energy, the psychedelic awareness boiled over up through my mind and took me with it. And I left who I thought I was behind. And now I just was experience. I am just existence. I am just awareness. And there is this cloud of thoughts trying to describe who that is and what this is. To this day, that experience is what is why I trust the things that I've come to understand. When I think about, like, dude, you're going too far, you know. You are who you think you are, and you're just getting really trippy. You were super high on LSD, and you got that hallucination that makes people think they're everything, and it's like, I see my mind doing the same thing it was doing that night. It doesn't know. My mind doesn't know this. But I know this. I am this. And my mind is always trying to bring me back down to what it thinks reality is. You know? But yeah, that's really the end of this story, trip report. Like I said, I've told this a few more times, but I feel like every time I tell it again, I say something new or articulate something in a different way that just makes it not only more understandable to me, but when I post it, it's like, all right, maybe they'll understand what I'm saying this time. You know what I mean? Very profound realization that sticks with me to this day. When I think about who I am, I feel what I felt that night. I feel awareness. I am aware of awareness. I am awareness. And like I said, this is what has really sent the nail home in me trusting all this spirituality stuff. And this is also what made me realize that psychedelics do have incredible potential of breaking down the ego mind. I thought it was all just a metaphor. I thought it was all just a type of person that trips. But no, you bring in the right circumstances and you are going to realize that you're everything. You're going to realize that who you think you are doesn't exist. It's just a thought. It's just a thought form. It's not who you are. It's just a little imaginary thought form. And who you are sees it all. I can't say you'll realize that, but I did, and it was real, and it was where me and my brother came up with the foundation theory, which is a very old video of mine, which talks about there is You know what understanding is? Understanding is not getting it in your conceptual mind. It's understanding everything. Understanding understands everything else. And what we came to that night, what I came to that night, I don't know about him, but he could share on his own experience. What I came to that night was understanding. I was understanding everything. And don't hear the word understanding as just intellectual understanding. I was understanding everything. And that's why we call it the foundation theory, because what I was is the foundation of existence itself. Understanding existence itself. And we boil up past this foundation that we truly are. And we lose sight of the idea of the fact that who we are is this utter neutral foundation. So my phone's doing that thing where it runs out of space randomly again. So I don't want this video to get cut off, so I'm going to stop it right here. If you have any questions or comments about this experience, anything I didn't describe very well or something you want me to clear up a little bit more, please let me know, because this is one of the most profound psychedelic experiences I've ever had, and one of the most profound experiences in all of my life that I've had. Probably one of the top three, honestly. Probably one of the top three most profound realizations I've ever had. So yeah, that's it for this video. My LSD Ego Death Awakening. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you have any topics, any questions for any types of videos you want to see in the future, let me know, because the way I pick videos, I just talk about what I feel like talking about. I don't know exactly what you guys are looking for, if you have any struggles going on that you want help with, but if you do, let me know, and in a heartbeat, I will make a video on it for you and go as in depth on it as I can. So thank you all for watching, and I will be back with more.